Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer. Served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Charlie Usen producing the show. Other side of the glass. Pat Murphy talking right now at American Family Field. We'll play some of that back for you coming up here in just a little bit. Normally we do Charlie's Sounds of the Day at 3:40. Today we'll do it in segment 2 here at 4:20. Then things we missed on today's show coming up at 4:40. If you want to hop aboard, talk about the Brewers, always here for you during the 4 o'clock hour. We'll take your calls on it. Nicolay Law Fan Talk at text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Sound off with a recorded voice message on the Odyssey app. I will say that I've been to a bunch of Brewers games in my life. I've seen Sheets pitch. I've seen Gallardo pitch, Greinke pitch, Sabathia pitch. Who else belongs in that conversation of being really good? Teddy Higuera, I may have seen pitch, but I don't remember if I did. I'm almost positive I did, but I don't remember it as well. I was a kid, but I'm pretty sure my dad took me to see Higuera. Started the All-Star game one year, him against Fernando Valenzuela. But this is the thing. I have not seen Misiorowski pitch. Mitch Nellis was there, obviously, today. I'm anxious to hear what he has to say tomorrow with Mason Crosby on their show from 9 to 11, brought to you by Verizon. As far as, is that the best pitcher you've seen up close and in person? I remember, and I've told this story before, I remember my dad went it was a day game, to Wrigley, because he used to work in Skokie. They went to a day game to see the Cubs and the Mets, and I'll never forget him coming home and going, Dwight Gooden is the best pitcher I've ever seen in my life. Like, I can't, because they had really good seats. His boss, or the owner, I guess, took him or whatever, and they were sitting a few rows behind home, and he's like, it was absolutely ridiculous. It was filthy. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And he had been to a lot of baseball games, obviously, and just could not believe how good he was. I wonder if that is maybe what you're thinking now as you're leaving American Family. Is that the best pitcher you've seen in a Brewers uniform? In your time, in your opinion, especially if you're a season ticket holder and you've been going for years. Really love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Don't forget, we are streaming live on our YouTube channel now, too. If you're searching for us on YouTube, it's the @ symbol, The Fan Milwaukee. So at The Fan Milwaukee. We stream all of our shows live now. Plus, you can go back and watch any of them or the interviews that are cut up and so forth right there on the YouTube page. Charlie, do you pay attention to pitching when you go to baseball games to be like, yeah, that's probably the best guy I've seen ever pitch in person, up close, one way or the other? I saw Nolan Ryan pitch at County Stadium, so I've seen Nolan Ryan pitch. That's probably the hardest thrower I've seen pitch is probably Nolan. What about you?
I can't say I paid that close attention to it. I mean, this past year I saw Freddie Peralta versus Shota Imanaga, which was a pretty good matchup in that game. I mean, like you said, I grew up going to Brewers games, so I've seen Giovanni Gallardo pitch. I was enamored with him as a little kid. He was one of my favorite players, so it was a lot of fun to watch him. Derek Turnbow, he was one of my favorite players, too. I love the hair, man. It was awesome.
Worst bobblehead in Brewers history.
John Axford was one of my favorite players.
Axford, yeah.
These guys, like, the ones that I saw all the time, I was paying attention to. I can't say I remember the best pitched game I've ever seen at Miller Park or AmFam Field, but I remember growing up with those types of names around me. So not to this degree. I think if I were to go to a game today and pay attention more closely, again, I remember Freddie Peralta and Shota Imanaga. I'm going to remember that. I think if I saw Jacob Misiorowski, the fact that I would remember that game says enough about it.
That's the thing. I don't believe. I know I'm going to say for a fact, even though I didn't do any research on this, I'm going to label it as a fact. We've never had anybody throw like this in the history of this organization. We just haven't. I mean, this dude is throwing, 15 to 20 to 2,500 mile an hour pitches each outing?
They said the record earlier in the game for the most 100-mile-per-hour pitches in one game was like 8 in the first inning, I believe. Jacob Misiorowski by himself had 12. I think they had 15 between him and Paul Skenes in the first inning.
Correct. And he would have had more had that inning gone on longer. So thankfully, we didn't take that long. But he had 15, I want to say, to Skenes 1 through 3 innings, I think it was, 15-1. I mean, and again, that doesn't, and Rock said it on the broadcast, just because you throw hard doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get guys out, because guys at this level see speed all the time, especially when you get in the back end of bullpens, right? Like Trevor McGill, he throws heat. Uribe had to pitch at 100 miles an hour. McGill gets it up to 100 miles an hour. So these guys see it. But what they don't see is the slider going 95, 96 miles an hour. They don't see the dramatic drop-off in the curveball versus how hard the other two pitches are thrown. A changeup going 93, 94 miles an hour. They don't see that. That's what makes this so difficult. Now, what we haven't seen from Misiorowski yet, and I'm sure we will here at some point, but we haven't seen him go 3 times through the rotation. So we don't know, will these hitters figure him out once they get the 3rd time through the rotation? I think throughout his career, it's going to be pretty quiet the first time through the rotation, no matter who he faces, because you don't see anything like that anywhere else in the series. You want to talk about really screwing somebody up? Put your soft tosser like Quintana before him in the rotation, and then let Misiorowski pitch the next night, and look at how much faster that's going to feel after facing Quintana the night before. The way it lines up right now, Quintana pitches the next day, so he'll get the Rockies tomorrow, not tomorrow, but on Friday to start that series. Brewers are off tomorrow. I'm venturing to say, and I could be wrong, Misiorowski is going to be the best pitcher we've ever seen pitch in this organization. Now, he has to stay healthy in order to get all the numbers, but I think he's going to be the best player. Just like Giannis, who it took me a long time to get on that train, but once you're on the train, you realize he's the best player we've seen in Bucks history. And I don't know if Misiorowski will be the Bucks or the best player or not, but I think he has every chance to be probably the best pitcher in franchise history if he can stay healthy. And that's a big if.
It's a huge if. I don't think it's very easy for any starting pitcher in any organization in the modern MLB to stay healthy. A lot of these guys are sitting out at least a small portion of the season. You don't see very many guys pitch a whole year. I think that's why Sonny Gray is still so valuable across this league, because he's still a good pitcher, but his biggest key is that he is always on the field and he's always going to be around, and he's 35 years old and still able to pitch entire seasons. That's crazy for a lot of these guys in nowadays game. And Jacob Misiorowski, the way he throws, how hard he throws, you expect those big injuries to start coming. At the same time, he also just looks like immortal. Unhittable. And when you look at him that way, it's hard to imagine that he gets injured, if I'm being honest. You just want to constantly see him on the field, and you don't even want to think about an injury.
Do me a favor. Go on ESPN.com, click on the Brewers, click on schedule. How many starts is Misiorowski going to get before we get to the All-Star break?
They currently have him listed to get 1, and that's against the Mets on July 2nd. They don't have it scheduled out.
Okay, but
past
count it out. How many more does he get if you go every 5 days? Does he get 2 more starts before the All-Star break? Before the end of the first half?
Yep, 2 more.
2 more. Okay, so that'll put him at 5 starts. I was interested. So I put into Google, how many starts did Paul Skenes make before he pitched in that All-Star game? Because I know he didn't pitch that whole first half. He made 11 starts and then was the starting pitcher for the All-Star game. So he is going to make 5 starts.
If he gets that starting pitcher role, you have to
forget the starting pitcher role. Just forget that. Right now, when you look at the All-Star game for the Brewers, Freddie Peralta's the guy, right? And then maybe Bryce Terang could be a second player. Every team has to have one. So right now, it's Freddie Peralta. Do you think if Misiorowski is dominant in his next 2 starts before the All-Star break, they throw him in the All-Star game?
Yes,
on just 5 starts.
Yes, because his next 2 starts are the Mets and the Dodgers too. If that's the case,
big markets,
and
really good teams.
If he dominates,
the Dodgers are really good.
If he dominates the Mets and he dominates the Dodgers, or the Mets are pretty good too. If he dominates the Mets and the Dodgers, I mean, you have to put him into that game. I mean, you can put him and Freddie if you want, but you have to have him in there.
Are you mad if you're Freddie if you don't go because he goes?
I mean, yes and no.
Especially with he's got, a year remaining next year, and every All-Star game means more money probably long-term.
I would say initially you're mad, but then you go back and you think about what you have just watched over the course of those 5 starts. Let's say he's just as good against the Mets and the Dodgers. You have to be like, yeah, I'm mad, but I can't be mad at him, man.
Are you going to get Shohei versus Miz?
That'd be pretty sick. Either that or Roki Sasaki versus Miz. Again, 2 rookies again. 2 of the best young pitchers.
Done. Sasaki's not going to pitch anymore. He's done.
Well,
he's
Yoshinobu Yamamoto then.
Yamamoto, sure. Sasaki's not. I don't think Sasaki's going to pitch the rest of the year. We'll see. But Yamamoto, yeah. Yamamoto against him is good. Shohei against him is good. I think both of those would be really good if this all works out. This obviously drew a huge number of people. Is that Dodger? You say they get the Dodgers? Is that at LA or in Milwaukee?
That is in Milwaukee.
Shohei against Miz in Milwaukee to end the first half? Oh my God. Are you kidding me? There's nobody in the Mets that I get excited about necessarily him pitching against. But for the Dodgers, if you get Yamamoto or Shohei against Misiorowski, you got something at that point. That would be a lot of fun. I see you making facial deal over there. So does everybody else on YouTube. What do you got?
I was just looking at Roki Sasaki because I was curious now. He's pitching pain-free, so we may actually see him by the end of the season.
By the time we get to him, yeah. Because the reason I know so much about Roki Sasaki is because I've had an eye on him on my watch list in fantasy baseball, so I'm constantly checking him to see what's going on because he's a free agent. I'm like, well, if he gets cleared, I'm picking him back up and putting him in my rotation if he gets cleared. So we'll have to wait and see how that whole deal plays up. All right. If you want to jump aboard on the Brewers, you obviously can. It's Nikolai Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. I've not heard anybody else talk about Misiorowski in the All-Star game. But I'm sorry. If he goes 5 shutout innings, his next 2 starts, and all he's given up is 2 runs in the 7th inning of his second start, and that's it? That's all he's given up? I don't see how he doesn't pitch in the All-Star game.
I mean, if you look at the rest of the National League, too, a lot of the best pitchers have, been injured along with a lot of the Brewers' best pitchers, or just haven't been all that exciting. I think this is a perfect opportunity for a guy like him to sneak into that All-Star game and give a big push for Milwaukee.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. The other part about this, too, when you're talking about this whole deal with Misiorowski, I wonder what the conversation is going to be like if they decide to put him in. From the aspect of, if you're the Brewers and Pat Murphy, do you go, yeah, that's fine, you can have him, but I only want him pitching 1 inning, right? I don't want him starting the All-Star game and throwing 3 innings or something like that. I'm fine if you want to bring Misiorowski out of the pen in the All-Star game and pitch an inning, but I don't think I want Misiorowski throwing 3 innings in the All-Star game. Like, that's out. You want to pitch him in the 4th inning or 5th inning, then I'm totally fine with that. Where are we going here? Let's go to Steve in Franklin. You're next here on the Nikolai Law Fan Talking text line on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Tim, just left the ball game.
Nice. You got to tell me, man. That's a sold-out crowd. Misiorowski, Skenes. Tell me what that was like.
I took my son. I saw the matchup. I'm like, we got to go.
Yeah.
And Misiorowski was the best I've ever seen. That first inning when he hit a guy on third, he just blew away the 3-hitter. Wasn't even close. Unbelievable.
So, how old are you?
I'm 49.
Okay, so we're right together, same age. So that's the thing. I mean, so you've seen Gallardo, you've seen Sheets, you've probably seen Higuera when you were younger like I was. That's the best Brewers pitcher and you've seen Sabathia and Greinke. That's the best Brewers pitcher you've seen?
He has the best stuff I've ever seen. He made Skenes stuff look like garbage.
How old is your kid?
I'm not kidding you. He's 17.
So what did he think? Was he blown away like you were?
I'm right here. I've never seen a guy rely on his fastball so much.
Yes.
And just no one be able to touch it.
It's funny because on certain hitters, he was throwing that fastball heavy. When he got Reynolds, he went strictly slider and kind of went away from the fastball. And the next hitter, he went heavy on that fastball again. The crazy part is, like, if you go back and watch his minor league film, he's got a damn good curveball, and he just has not thrown it a ton at the major league level yet.
Oh, it looks like his balls rise a little bit, and there's just terrible contact, terrible swings. They look They're just guessing up there.
I told Charlie, you can foul off a pitch at 101, at shoulder level, but there aren't many people that are going to hammer that ball at any point in time going forward. Thanks for calling in, guys. I really appreciate it. There you go. There's a couple of guys just said pretty much nasty. Never seen anything like it. Just here it is. See if you can hit it. Control is the only thing. That if we're just talking about outside of staying healthy, right? That's the main thing. Outside of that, the next thing is just don't walk a ton of guys. And so far, he has not walked a ton of guys. Just hasn't. Because what happens is these guys sit on these fastballs and be like, I'm going. And then what happens? He drops a changeup on the outside and they miss. He drops a curveball at the bottom of the zone and they start swinging like they're golfing. That's it. And by the way, something else. Real quick educational tip. For those of you, and hopefully there's not a lot of you listening to the show that do this, but there might be. If you watch a baseball game at home and you're like, what are they swinging at? What an idiot. Why would you swing at that pitch? If you're one of those people, I beg you, at some point, go to a Milkmen game. Not even a Brewers game. Go to a Milwaukee Milkmen game or a Doc Hounds game, either one. Go to one of those two games. Get tickets, because they're a lot cheaper to get tickets behind home plate at both those games. Sit behind home plate. See how fast that ball is coming. Now, they're not as good as those guys in the major leagues. Definitely not close to Misiorowski. See how fast that ball is coming and the movement of that ball. And then see if you think you could get up there with a bat and touch it. And see what you can do. And then take that and probably add 10 to 15 miles an hour more on with Misiorowski when he's pitching. Trav and Brown Deer, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. You're on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. What do you think after the Brewers' 4-2 win? Misiorowski, 5 shutout innings.
I love it. He should be all-star. And Sparky, let me tell you, it's a little slow in the automotive, but today they made it busy at me because everybody went home. At least 10 people went home to watch this game. Took vacation days, for Skenes.
So you were working all by yourself?
No. I mean, but true baseball fans, they're like, yeah, I'll take short notice, whatever, yeah. They went home, yeah. And they actually weren't even going to the game. I watch it from home. Yeah.
Oh, it's a big game, man. It's a big matchup. Again, maybe we get Misiorowski versus Ohtani here before the first half is up. Brewers and Dodgers at American Family Field.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in person, but it's like, man, what I'm seeing is like he's better than Gooden and Clemens, or right up there.
Yeah, we got a ways to go on that one. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I do not want to get into comparing him to Hall of Famers. I don't want to have that conversation. If you want to compare him against Skenes, I'm okay with that because Skenes just got here too. So we can compare them and compare their journey along Major League Baseball and so forth. I don't want to compare him to a Hall of Famer when he's made 3 starts. I'm just not willing to jump into that. I feel more comfortable saying he's the best pitcher I've seen in a Brewers uniform because that's just my opinion of what I've watched at a park. Right? That of what I've seen. That's my own personal opinion. Somebody else listening may be like, oh, you're crazy. I saw him pitch today, and he's not as good as Higuera. I saw him pitch today, and Sabathia is way better than him. Okay, we can disagree. That's okay. So it's just an opinion. But the Hall of Fame stuff, I don't want to get in the Hall of Fame stuff, Charlie.
I get it. But also at the same time, it's hard to ignore some of the things that he's doing and not compare it to Hall of Fame guys.
Sure, yeah.
Like you have to, when you're watching these games, it's impossible to look at him and not say, you know what, Randy Johnson was that tall and he was a flamethrower and he looks like Randy Johnson when he's out there, man. It's crazy how close and how similar it is. And I think at the same time that you don't want to put those expectations on the player, the fans have eyes and they can see what's happening on the field and they can look at that and say, you know what? I haven't seen anybody in a Brewers uniform do what he's doing right now, like you're saying. And because of that, I think that just automatically leads to the Hall of Fame comparisons.
Yep, the Hall of Fame comparisons are definitely going to come. I just am trying to not get overly crazy because I tend to do that, I tend to be over emotional a little bit from time to time. Okay, it is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up next, we'll do Charlie's Sounds of the Day. If you want to hobble board, still talking about this Brewers-Pirates game, we're here for you. Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Also streaming live on YouTube now. You can find us on YouTube. Just use the @ symbol, The Fan Milwaukee, @The Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube. Any of our local shows, all stream live. If you miss our shows, they're all right there. As well. Time for your fan weather forecast. 74 degrees, mostly cloudy skies right now. Cloudy skies tonight with a low of 65. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. 8 strikeouts for Jacob Misiorowski. Did we get the 8th strikeout, or do we still just have that first one?
Still have that first one.
Just have the first one. All right. Here is Jacob Misiorowski's first strikeout of the game.
Got him! Strikeout number 1 for Misiorowski.
I would say both offenses had better lay off that high fastball today. 101 above the strike zone. There's no chance to be able to barrel that up. To foul it off is quite hard to do as well.
8 strikeouts for Misiorowski on the day, 5 shutout innings. His pitch count was capped at 80. If you were at the game and didn't know that was the deal, they mentioned it on FanDuel Sports Network during the game broadcast that because he had never pitched apparently so far this year on 4 days rest, that they were going to watch his pitch count. So he was in the mid to high 70s at that point after 5 innings, so they decided to just keep him down and not go back out there for the 6th inning. If they're going to pitch him every 5 days, again, if we're talking about an innings limit, this is not going to last very long before they're going to have to make a hard decision. Normally, it's 20 to 25 or 30% increase from year to year. Last year, he threw around 97 innings, I want to say, last year, and now he's up and over around 80 innings so far this year, right around 80 innings. So if you figure, 25 to 30%, that's probably about another 40 innings or so is what he's going to be able to pitch at 5 a pop. That's about 8 starts. So I don't, and I've said this before, I don't think he's going to be in the rotation necessarily at the end of the year, or at some point he's going to go into the bullpen and then they're going to have to try and restretch him back out if they want him to pitch in the postseason. If that's what the plan is, I haven't heard anybody talk about this yet. We are going to hear from Pat Murphy. We're going to hear from Jacob Misiorowski coming up here before 5 o'clock. Both talked after the game. But first, we got to get to this.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on The Fan.
All right, so we will hear from Pat Murphy and Jacob Misiorowski from after the game. Drew Wagner, Forbes Sports, was nice enough to send that sound back to us. So we'll play that here coming up after this segment. Normally we do this segment at 3:40 each and every day, which, again, you can watch this now on YouTube, at The Fan Milwaukee on YouTube, or by streaming us live on the Odyssey app, or by streaming us live at thefanmilwaukee.com. And again, if you go to thefanmilwaukee.com or on the Odyssey app, everything is separated into its own buckets, right? So best Brewers coverage, all of our interviews there. Best Bucks coverage, like our Eric Name interview, I think it's the last one there. That's up. Speaking of the Bucks, draft is tonight. No picks tonight for the Bucks in round 1. Tomorrow they pick at 47 in round 2 of the NBA draft. Yes, it's a 2-day draft. They're copying the NFL like they always do. So day 2 is tomorrow night. Ty Windish of the Eurostep podcast will join us tomorrow at 2:40. Tim Dillard of FanDuel Sports Network Wisconsin joins us every Thursday at 3:20. So he'll be on tomorrow afternoon at 3:20. Looking forward to talking to Tim Dillard and getting his thoughts on what he saw today from Misiorowski. Sounds of the day, top 3 sounds that our guy Charlie using picks from around the world of sports. What say you today?
All right, first up, we're going to head over to Tight End Academy, where George Kittle and a bunch of the other top tight ends in the NFL hold a big seminar.
Crap goes to that.
He does, yep. So He was on the list of tight ends. I think there's about 183 college and professional tight ends that were going this year. So guys just learning how to play the game, how George Kittle describes it the right way. George Kittle was on NFL Live on ESPN, and he was discussing the importance of tight end in today's game.
I would say one of my favorite things to look back on is if you look at the past 10 Super Bowl winners, every team has either a Gronk, a Kelsey, Dallas Goedert. You have an elite tight end playing that makes plays for you throughout the whole season, throughout the playoffs, throughout the Super Bowl. You have guys that make plays. And so I just think guys saw Gronk and the Patriots win all these championships. We need to invest a little bit more time in these tight ends, maybe get them some more ops. So I just think offenses have seen success of other teams using their tight ends so much. And now they're we're going to try using them too. And now you see all these tight ends from every team. The Ravens have a great tight end room. They got, Charlie Kolar, Isaiah Likely, and Mark Andrews, 3 great tight ends. Yeah. And so you building these rooms of the tight ends, now you can go 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 13, 22, all these personnels with multiple tight ends. And that's the best way to play the game.
I don't disagree that the tight end should continue to be used more. We've been talking about it for the Green Bay Packers. We talked about it on this show last Packers season. We talked about it on the postgame show after Packer games here on The Fan with myself and Tommy Wirtz. The double tight end is something that is very, very hard to deal with, especially if you have a good running back and especially if you have a decent wide receiving core. Check, check, and check. The Packers have all of this. And, oh, by the way, they got a really good quarterback in Jordan Love. Now, part of the reason why this hasn't happened is because Luke Musgrave is doing his best Gary Mitchell and can't stay on the damn field. So if Musgrave can stay healthy with Tucker Kraft, They have every opportunity to make this look like Hernandez and Gronkowski with, Jordan Love at quarterback. And I argue, outside of Randy Moss, the Packer wide receiving core is just as good as any receiving core Brady had to throw to at that point when he had both those tight ends. Again, outside of Moss, who's on his own level. But outside of that one guy, this receiving core is just as good. Running back, I would argue I'll take Josh Jacobs over Corey Dillon, the guy that he had there for a little bit, Antoine Smith, and some of these other guys. So I'm good taking Josh Jacobs there too. It's up to Matt LaFleur to use these tight ends in the correct way. There is no reason why Tucker Kraft can't be Kelsey. There just isn't. There's no reason. He should be right there usage-wise like they use him in Kansas City with Mahomes. They should use him the same way in Green Bay, Charlie.
I think that's perfect. That's the way that every team in the NFC North is starting to lean towards. That's why the Chicago Bears took Colson Loveland with their number 10 overall pick in this year's draft.
They have Cole Kmet already.
Because they had Cole Kmet, and they want to run these two tight end sets that all these other teams are finding success with, and Ben Johnson notices that.
Yep.
The Packers have the players there. They have the personnel. Just go and do it if you can keep the guy on the field. Now, if Luke Musgrave can't be on the field, though, I think you need to find other options to be that second tight end to help give him some competition at that spot if you want that to be an important part of your offense.
Totally agree with you. Clip number 2.
All right, next up we're going to hear from Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated. He was talking about the real biggest story people should be paying attention to in the NBA as Adam Silver talks about expanding the league here in the next couple of seasons.
The NBA storyline that might not be applicable now, but could be a year from now, because I think this is the potential biggest free agent that could be out there. Sam Presti in Oklahoma City. Like, we're going to get 2 expansion teams probably the next 3 years. If you're the new Sonics, what's Sam Presti worth to you?
Piece of the team.
A piece of the team.
2% of the team. 1%, whatever. We lost this guy to Oklahoma City. Now we brought him back to be our architect.
He was 29 when he came here. He's 49 when he's coming back, and he's going to build this team. Prophecy fulfilled, all that stuff. He wouldn't have any reason to feel bad about leaving Oklahoma City. He helped win them a championship, and he built a winner that can be there sustainable for the next 3 or 4 years. The chance to do something like build a team from scratch for a guy like Sam Presti, who has built a title contender back in 2012 with the peak of the Durant, Harden, Westbrook years, and a title winner that may have won multiple championships by the time his, quote, free agency comes up. I just think that's something to watch. Whatever 2 teams get the expansion rights, I think he is going to be someone that's on their radar. And I don't think there's any price probably too high for getting a guy like Sam Presti to run your team.
And that was from the Bill Simmons podcast.
I don't like Bill Simmons, but I agree. I totally agree. I'd give him 5% ownership. I'd give him whatever the heck he wanted to come in and run my franchise. I'd fire John Horst. I'd fire whoever my GM is for the most part to get him to come in and run my franchise. And I'll tell you the other guy who I would also let do what he wants. That's Kevin Pritchard. The job he's done. Now, he's president, GM, whatever, but the job he's done with the Indiana Pacers to build the team the way he's built it, to get Carlisle, to all the stuff he's done, is an amazing job too. Nobody talks about Pritchard. They talk about Presti, and I get it, right? He's got 1 million draft picks left. He can continue to add to this and build a dynasty, whatever. But if you look at how Pritchard built that through trades, because that's what he did. He built that team through trades. If you look at the job he did, he also deserves 5 stars, and he also deserves an open checkbook for wherever he wants to go and for whoever wants him. That is the biggest key when we talk about expansion. It's putting together a smart front office to start the thing off going in the right direction. If you have a smart front office, you're good. You can have all the money in the world, but if you got a bunch of tools running it, it's not going to matter. They're just going to waste your money at the end of the day. We've seen it time and time again with all these organizations that have all this money in pro sports and these big markets that can't get out of their own way. That is where it all comes down to. So, yeah, I agree with that. I'd give Pritchard or him percentage ownership of my team if that meant me getting him to run my team. Absolutely. All right, third clip.
All right, and last up here, we're going to talk about some more rumors in the NBA. Nick Wright doesn't seem to want to let the Giannis trade rumors die, so he came up with a whole nother one that I wanted to get your reaction to, Sparky. This is Nick Wright on What's Right, his podcast, coming up with another wild Giannis trade.
I think, oddly, they actually still, if he were to come available mid-season, might have the ability to still trade for Giannis. You could make a trade if you're the Rockets, where you are sending out Fred VanVleet, Reed Shepherd, and Brooklyn's first in 2027, Phoenix's first in 2027, Dallas is first in 2029. Phoenix is first in 2029. And Houston's first, their own first in 2030. Those are valuable, prime first-round picks. I don't think they're going to do that. But the point is, it's not like by going for Durant, they punted on any chance at Giannis. And I think that's very useful.
I will give Nick Wright credit for this. They told him to figure out something, a way to talk about Giannis, and he came up with a crazy trade in order to talk about Giannis. He did his job, right? That's what they wanted him to do. He fulfilled his duty of trying to figure that out. There was a lot of first-round picks there, right?
5 of them.
Yeah.
To be exact.
Van Vliet just signed 2, or he's going to sign 2 at 50, which isn't crazy. $25 million a year for Fred Van Vliet. Like, I'm okay with that. And then Shepard, who really didn't get as much run as I thought he'd get after they drafted him. That's a young guy, but that's not a young superstar that you're going to build around. There's no chance that guy's a superstar. But yeah, nice role player, but I don't think he's going to be a superstar by any stretch of the imagination. So, to me, no. But as I've stated before, he's not asking for a trade. He's not going anywhere. The Bucks are keeping him, and let's just move forward. The big thing is, we talked about this earlier, Bradley Beal for Damian Lillard. Would you do it? And I know what you're saying. I don't want Bradley Beal anywhere near my locker room. I agree. But if it's about keeping Giannis happy and competing, giving him a star to play with this year and then next year, well, he ain't coming off a blown Achilles. Beal can be with him from training camp all the way through this year and then all the way through the next year with Giannis and give him a second player to go with himself and then Kuzma and then whoever else is on that roster. They take Lillard back because they don't want Beal. We know they don't want Beal. They take Lillard back. Fine. They're not all that good this year. Green and Booker get a lot of run together. And then the following year, they get a veteran point guard to play with Green and Booker in Phoenix and hopefully help mentor Green, who they just got from the Rockets in Phoenix, and maybe that makes some sense. Now, would Beal agree to play in Milwaukee? I doubt it. But if he would, maybe that's a conversation worth having, and you give Giannis a score without giving up anything of value that you're going to use this year anyhow. You don't got to give up your first in 2031. You don't have to give up your first in 2032. You don't got to give up any young players. Just straight up. I'm giving you essentially trash for trash at this point. I'm not saying Lillard's trash, but he's of no use to anybody this year. And you're getting Beal, who they've been trying to get rid of for how long, and maybe it works. And Beal gets out of Phoenix because Durant's no longer there. So maybe Beal's fine getting out of Phoenix at this point. Maybe he's like, cool, I can play with Giannis. I'm down with that. I'll go play with Giannis. So maybe he gets here. He may not like the snow, but he was in Washington. They get snow in D.C. with the Wizards, right?
Just buy a new jacket. You're an NBA player. You got money.
Yeah, it was just that simple to convince these guys. All right, coming up next, we'll hear from Pat Murphy. We'll hear from Jacob Misiorowski after a Brewers 4-2 win today. If you love Wendy's classic chocolate vanilla frosty flavors, there's some big news. They're all new Frosty Swirls and now Frosty Fusions. It's the same creamy treat you've always loved, now with a flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors? Okay, we got the Frosty Swirls. Now, I'm telling you, when you get one of these, ask for extra swirl. Just trust me. Strawberry. They have brownie batter. That's my favorite. I use the chocolate Frosty base with it. You can pick chocolate or vanilla. And then caramel. Now Frosty Fusions. My favorite is the Oreo brownie with the chocolate base. It's a chocolate lover's dream, in my opinion. Caramel crunch that has pieces of toffee in it. And Pop-Tart strawberry. So clock in for sweet treat time with Wendy's all-new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic. It's gotta be Wendy's. Things we missed on today's show, including hearing from Pat Murphy after today's 4-2 win, and we'll hear from The Miz. Straight ahead, it's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and live on YouTube here on The Fan.
Another payoff. And he locked him up for strike 3. Front door slider. 8 strikeouts for Misiorowski in 5 scoreless innings.
Woo, baby. That was it for Misiorowski after that. That was the last hitter of the 5th inning. Got the 8th strikeout, walked out, pumped up. He had a pitch limit of 80 because coming off 4 days rest, he hadn't done that yet, according to FanDuel Sports Network earlier in the game, so we knew it was coming. He walked off. Brewers win 4-2 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. 5 shutout innings. That highlight courtesy of FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin. Definitely want to take advantage of that. We always talk about, I want you to hear from Pat Murphy and Jacob Misiorowski, and you will momentarily. Let me tell you about our guys over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie, you listen to the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
I do, yeah.
Our guy, Austin Herdania, sportsbook manager over there, I keep telling y'all, sit in the parking garage at the Potawatomi Sportsbook and listen for Herdania's parlay during the leadoff show. He does it every day. Guess what? Hit his parlay today for plus 280. I'm telling y'all, Tommy Wirtz just texted me this. It was Miz over 5.5 strikeouts, Yelich to get just a hit, and the Brewers win. He has won his parlay 3 of the last 4 days. Folks, the leadoff show with Tommy Wirtz is a must listen every day if you gamble at all. Even if you don't gamble, you get lineups, you get Murphy, you get Andrew Wagner, brought to you by Focus Baseball. You get all of this great stuff. But if you gamble and you go to Potawatomi anyhow, I'm telling you, just sit there. When Herdania comes on, he makes the parlay, write it down, type it into your phone, go into the sportsbook, go right to the kiosk, make your wager, and find Austin Herdania in there and go, thank you. I made my house payment this month because of you. Right? Thank you. I just bought a new car because of you. Thank you. I'm spending my kids to college because of you, Austin Herdania. That's what we should be doing. The man's amazing. So is Potawatomi Sportsbook. 6,500 square feet, 2,000 square foot center screen, 30 sporting events at one time they can show. Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, amazing food, homemade desserts and pastries, 48 different beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails. Reserve ahead of time. That's what my recommendation is to you. You don't have to. You can gamble. I guess that's what you're going there to do anyhow, and hope you find an open seat. I'm a little bit more conservative. I like to make sure I have a seat. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook and reserve. Yes, it's a nominal fee, but it goes towards your food and beverage, which you're going to spend anyhow. So just take care of it and then go in there and have a great time at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. All right, Things Sparky Missed, brought to you by said Potawatomi Sportsbook. Let's hear from the guys that were the heroes of the game. Let's hear from, I don't know if Pat Murphy was a hero, but Pat Murphy talked after the game, and our guy Drew Wagner was there to hear him. And this is what he had to say.
The fact that he understood it and understood the magnitude it meant for our team. It's about the team. And I think he got it loud and clear and didn't give up free bases, didn't implode. Walked the first guy, got back on track, I think just his poise and ability to handle the situation. We have first and second, gets a big ground ball, then strikes out a hitter that has terrorized us, O'Neill Cruz. I mean, he just showed that he's unflappable. 3 of the innings, he had the leadoff guy on base, and none of them scored. It speaks to, what he can do.
What did you think of the command and the location for him today compared to those first 2 outings?
Good. The thing was he's throwing to Haas for the first time, you know what I mean? And that's different. So another something to live with, but he knows Eric and threw to him in spring training a couple times, but or at least once. But I thought that he kept himself. I mean, it wasn't perfect. He used the curveball a couple key times. You know what I mean? That came into play. But I thought his command was pretty darn good.
As silly as it might seem, was it kind of good to see him get into a little bit of that jam there with the leadoff guys because you haven't been able to see him work out of it?
Right. I think all that's going to help him. All these experiences help him. For him to have strikeouts on all 4 pitches, What's that?
For him to have strikeouts on all 4 pitches today.
I didn't know that.
What kind of sign is that of like just the command that he's got?
No, I think it's good. So you don't turn in, like what makes Skenes so great is you have no idea how he's going to pitch you. You know what I mean? Like the guy has 5 pitches or 6, and he commands them all. And I think it's hard to plan on a sequence. I think he probably has problems planning a sequence. You know what I mean? Like he's so tough. He has so many things going for him that, and he wants to throw 101. He can, but he's just out there pitching. And I think Jacob can learn a lot from this guy because this guy's really, really good. And we didn't exactly hit him hard, if you know what I mean. We got very fortunate. His defense let him down. We got a huge blue pit. It mattered. They made a couple key errors. He could have given up 1, easily given up 1.
You said the other day that Jacob seemed really nervous before his first start. How did he seem heading into this game, and how does he kind of come along in that?
Yeah, I didn't get him as I know he spent a lot of quiet time before the game by himself, but I didn't really sit with him or anything before a game. I just reminded him, like, hey, this ain't the Miz show. This is about the Milwaukee Brewers. You got 8 guys that you're responsible to, like they're responsible to you. So make sure you understand that. You're in this journey with us. And I didn't get a chance to see how he just looked at me like, okay. So,
Murph, in deciding where to end the outing, could we see some of these as you try to manage the big picture?
Yeah, I mean, so far with 4 days rest, he's never went out past 75. We just want to be smart about it, that's all. Like we would any other pitcher, whether they're throwing 99 or whether they're throwing 92. It's just, you got to take some precautions for the health and understand what he's done in the past. It's like training a marathon runner, right? You don't just run the 26. You probably could, if you say you'd run 12 or 14 and, you've trained a little bit, and I don't know exact marathon training, but I guarantee you physically could do it. But what's that going to mean for down the road? So I think we're trying to do the same thing,
Murph, it was a sellout today. Could you feel the electricity coming into the day? Did it have a different buzz for you at all coming into this?
For me?
For you and for the team in general. I mean, did it have a different feel, do you think, with all the people on a Wednesday afternoon?
I didn't know what day it was. Sorry. But the fans were unbelievable. Like different buzz. We all walk in different shoes, so it's like that doesn't really come into play. You know what I mean? Like different buzz. I don't know. I'm sorry if I didn't have a bigger buzz. I was just trying to figure out how we can accomplish this. You know what I mean? And get a victory today, and everybody stay healthy and play better. We didn't really do much. You think about it. But.
Murph on the offense, though?
I tell you what, there are some times that I agree with Pat Murphy, and there are other times where I just kind of shake my head. Like, what is the point of going in there and going, hey, it's not the Miz show? I mean, unless the dude's walking around acting like he's bigger than the rest of the clubhouse or acting like he's above everybody in the clubhouse. If that's going on, okay, fine, then you're right. You have to humble him, you got to bring him back down to earth and be like, hey, dude, you're just like everybody else, right? Just chill out. Then that's I'm not in there. I don't know. Does he seem like a guy to you that's acting like, I mean, he seems like he's just like enjoying life right now. Like, holy crap, like a kid in a candy store right now, like just taking everything in and having the time of his life and not knowing any different.
No, I don't think right now he seems like that, but I think the key word that you just used is kid. And I think a young person going into a big moment like this, yes, you may not be like that at first, but big moments where you get a lot of praise can get to your head really quick for somebody that's going through this in a very fast time frame right now. So I think that's what he gets worried about. Not that he's already like that, but that there's potential that in a new situation he could get like that.
Jacob Misiorowski talked after the game as well. Again, 5 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts, 3-0 now for Misiorowski in his career.
Jacob, what an outing for you. 5 innings, 8 strikeouts. You hold this Pirates lineup in check in front of a sold-out crowd. After that leadoff walk, how did you settle into the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was just
one of those things that you knew what you had to do and just going out there and executing. So I think that was the biggest thing, was staying within myself.
In that fourth inning, you got a single and a walk, and pitching coach Chris Hook came out to talk to you for the mound visit. You bounced back with the double play and the strikeout. Just what was the adjustment you wanted to make?
Just getting back into my rhythm that I needed to be in, and not playing their game over at first, and really staying with what I'm used to and doing that.
8 strikeouts for you on all 4 pitches. How'd you have command of everything today?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was there. I thought everything was working the way I wanted it to, so it was awesome. It was, exactly how we drew it up.
There was a lot of hype around this game between you and Paul Skenes. How fun was it to pitch in this game, this atmosphere in front of a sold-out crowd?
So much fun. I mean, yeah, it was so electric. The fans here were awesome, 40-something thousand, so it's awesome. It's awesome they came out.
Were there any moments that stood out to you, Miz? Were you able to enjoy it at all?
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. You have the guys really get to Skenes and score 4 for me. It was awesome. Kind of felt at ease a little bit more. I was like, okay, here we go, we got it. So no, it was huge that the guys there, and that's when I really realized I was like, okay, I got this. We can win this game.
Do you believe in your mind, that was him with Sophia Minard after the game on FanDuel Sports Network. Do you believe in your mind then when managers like Pat Murphy or the trader in Chicago or Ned Yost or whoever say, I couldn't tell a difference in the crowd. I was just managing the game. I couldn't tell. Misiorowski is honest no matter what at this point. And he's like, dude, it was electric. Like, it was awesome out there. Like, he obviously heard it. He obviously felt it. I always think whenever I hear guys say, I couldn't tell the difference. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, Charlie.
I don't think that when you're in those moments, if you are the manager, I think as a young player, yes, you know that. But
you could take it in even more if you're a manager because you're not even out there pitching.
No.
You can look around and be like, damn, this is pretty cool. These guys, everybody's into this thing right now.
But why would you care about that when you have to focus on what 9 dudes are doing on a field at any given point?
Stop. You keep acting like it's some type of rocket science. He's standing on the first step for 5 innings watching Misiorowski get guy after guy after guy out.
A 60-year-old man who's seen a lot is going to continue to see a lot of Jacob Misiorowski. Why does it matter to him that much?
I guess. And the other part is, too, I don't know if anybody's asked Murphy this yet, but, like, you seen anybody as good as this? You see anybody with this type of stuff, with this type of movement, with what he does? Have you seen this before?
He's not going to tell the truth, though.
You've caught it. You've coached in college. You've coached in the bigs. You've coached 100 years. Have you seen anything like this before in your career? And you said he's not going to tell the truth.
He's going to say, he's really good, but I'm sure there's other guys that do this.
Yeah, probably right about that. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, on YouTube, at The Fan Milwaukee's, that @ symbol. Subscribe, like all that fun stuff. Back again at it tomorrow morning with a Pack-A-Day radio show with Andy Herman. Don't miss it. Then it's the Mason Crosby Show with our guy Mitch Thundernellis from 9 to 11. And then this show back on the airways from 2 to 5. Have a good one. Toodles.